Well, my first question is, just how many people in the United States are currently waiting for a life-saving transplant?
I checked the number this morning because it is updated daily on the United Network for Organ Sharing website, and it's just at about 114,000 patients waiting for a life-saving transplant in the U.S. And actually, right here in New York State, we just went over 10,000 people waiting in New York State alone.
10,000 in New York alone?
In New York alone. So just about 10% of that waiting list are people right here in New York.
Sure.
So, and to further add to that, only 18% of New York State residents over the age of 18, which is what you need to be in order to register with the Donate Life Registry, are registered. So
say that again, what percentage?
18%.
18%, only 18%,
only 18% are registered.
Now, I'm surprised. I would have thought that would be higher than that, but only 18%.
Yep.
So you have an opportunity to raise that percentage.
Correct.
So,
yes, exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Sure.
So there's a disparity there, and that's why opportunities like this to educate the public and answer questions, dispel myths, things that are so important to our organization.
Sure. Now, you mentioned that you need to be at least 18,
That's
right?
correct.
At least 18.
Yes.
And is there a maximum age that... No
maximum age.
Okay.
We, it's funny. I was sharing with you when I go out to hospitals or to educate in the public, the #1 comment that I tend to get from people is, "Oh, my organs are too old. You're not going to want them." The truth is, we have had donors up into their 90s.
Really?
Yes.
In their 90s?
In their 90s.
Wow.
So age is absolutely not a rule out. We will take a look and assess every individual patient as a potential organ donor. And you could be surprised by the viability of the organs in people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s.
Sure. So don't think that just because you might be up there in years,
nope,
that
absolutely
you can't
not.
donate. You can. Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, this might be a great time just to share. How do you go about doing that?
Sure.
If somebody has seen the segment or been thinking about this, just how do they go about it?
Sure, absolutely. There are a couple of ways. If you're at the DMV, if you happen to be there renewing your license, check the box that says you'd like to be an organ donor. It's right there on the renewal form, and within 6 to 8 weeks you'll get a follow-up letter from the Department of Health confirming your wishes to be an organ and tissue donor. You are now also able to register online, fully online, through the MyDMV portal. If you visit nys.dmv.gov and sign up for a MyDMV account, you can also register to be an organ donor that way.
So you don't have to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles. You can do it online.
No, because we so infrequently have to renew our licenses now that this is another way that we can do that. If there's ever a Donate Life table at an event that you're at, a health fair, at a hospital you happen to be at, and you can fill out a registry card with a representative from our organization or another Donate Life organization.
Sure, you attend a lot of expositions and marketing fairs and that kind of thing, I'm sure. So
we do.
Look for the Donate Life table.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yep. And you can visit our website at cdtny.org if you want some more information there. And it will link you to the MyDMV portal as well on our website if you wish to register that way.
I was just going to say, we're going to have all this on the CBS 6 website, so you don't have to write it all down.
Great.
But we'll have it all there, but that's another way. Or I would imagine they could just call your office, that's
Absolutely.
right, and ask for you or someone else in the office, and
Absolutely.
somebody would help them?
Yes, we're happy to answer questions at any time at our office, so please feel free to give us a call.
Right,
That'd be
and
great.
we'll put that number on the CBS 6 website as
Excellent.
well, right? And your
Yes.
office is in Albany?
They are in Albany on off of Western Avenue.
Okay.
Yep, we're local.
Okay, great. Let me ask you this. What are some of the organs and tissues that can be recovered for transplant, and what are they used for?
Sure, absolutely.
I'm sure a lot of people are wondering that.
Yep. So as some of them that you mentioned earlier on your segment, the heart can be donated. A person can donate their heart. Lungs are another organ that can be donated. You can donate, lungs are usually split for 2 patients. However, the one disease that afflicts patients that need a double lung transplant is cystic fibrosis.
Okay.
So those patients will receive a double lung transplant, and they actually tend to do very well when they are able to receive a double lung transplant.
Sure.
Moving down into the abdominal area, there are the kidneys that can be donated.
Two kidneys.
Two kidneys,
Right.
exactly. Also split for two patients, or one goes to one patient, one goes to the other.
Sure.
The liver, which can be donated, and the liver can also be split, actually. So the smaller lobe could go to a pediatric patient on the waiting list, whereas the larger lobe can go to an adult patient on the waiting list from time to time.
Interesting.
And also the pancreas and the small intestine.
Okay.
So those will round out the 8 organs. As far as tissues go,
I was just
though,
going to ask you, I know I mentioned during the segment the organs, and you just explained it very eloquently, but the tissues.
Yes.
Tell us about tissues.
Yes, so with tissue donation, there is skin that can be donated, and skin helps burn victims. Skin is taken from the back usually when it is recovered from a patient. There are ligaments that can be recovered, as well as tendons. One interesting one that I always like to mention when I speak about tissue donation are heart valves. If a patient consents for a heart valve donation, there are patients, sometimes children waiting on the waiting list for a heart valve transplant, because versus getting a mechanical valve put in, that'll wear out throughout their life, and the patient will need several subsequent surgeries. Donated heart valves grow with the patient.
They do?
Yes.
Oh.
So it'll reduce the need for that particular patient to need so many surgeries and improve their quality of life. Which is great.
I didn't know that. Well, you know,
Yes.
I've been telling folks every week that I learn so much myself from these web chats, and here again, I've already learned a ton of stuff from you, so I did not know that. Wow.
Yep, and the one other tissue, before I forget,
Yes. No, please.
are corneas. I think people are familiar with cornea donation as well.
Yes.
So those are the organs, eyes, and tissues that can be recovered for transplantation. And as you mentioned too in your segment, one donor can actually save or enhance up to 50 lives. I mean, that impact is huge. It really is.
Yes, I know. I was surprised, when I learned that and shared that during the segment, that one donor can impact up to 50 people.
Yes.
Not 15, 50.
No, 50,
50
5-0.
people, right,
Yes.
5-0.
Yes.
That's an amazing statistic. I'm sure a lot of people don't know that.
Yep.
But wow, what a difference that one person can make.
Yes, very much so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: Will medical care suffer once the hospital knows a person is a registered donor? I'm sure a lot of people have to be wondering that.
Yes.
How are they going to take care of me? If they know I'm a donor.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
This is a major concern that we get from the public too, and the truth is that our organization, we're the only people that have access to the New York State Donate Life Registry. So when a patient meets our clinical triggers for being referred from the hospital, we are the ones that check the registry. So the physician doesn't know that the patient is a registered donor, nursing staff, nobody else knows except our organization. And it is only when the prognosis has been determined to be grave and that the patient has suffered a non-survivable injury that the topic of donation even comes into play.
Oh, so staff does not know.
No.
They do not know that.
That's not something that we share with them until it is an appropriate time in the decision-making process, and that the family is going to be asked to make some very important end-of-life decisions.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Right. And I described during the segment that being brain death is a medical legal definition of death.
It is.
Once you're brain dead, some of the vital organs, like the heart and the lungs, can be kept alive for transplantation.
Correct.
With the ventilator.
Yes.
For the heart and the lungs, anyway. And,
yes. Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Go ahead. Did you want to comment on that at all?
Just that yes, in New York State, brain death is the legal time of death, and brain death is irreversible. So there's a rigorous clinical exam followed by an apnea test, which I'm getting very specific now, but it's very much a stringent process to determine and declare somebody brain dead before any type of donation discussion is initiated.
Sure. Now, are most transplants, are they successful, or is there a high, or is there a high success rate with them, or what is that number? I'm just curious.
Yes, transplantation is successful. provided that the patient follows, goes to their follow-up appointments, takes the appropriate immunosuppressants to be able to maintain the organ viability. There's always the risk of rejection, but medicine has gotten so far advanced that that is, with appropriate testing and like I mentioned, the immunosuppressant therapy, there's lower cases of rejection as compared to several years ago.
Wow.
So people tend to do very well with transplants, and really what it gives them is more time with their loved ones. It may not be 30, 40, 50 years, or it may be, but it does give them, that additional time to spend, here with the people that they love.
It buys time.
It
Absolutely. And time is a very precious commodity.
It is.
Right.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yep.
Did I hear and read in the news just recently that former Vice President Cheney just had a transplant?
He did.
He did?
He did. He just had a heart transplant. Yep. He had suffered, I think I read too, about 5 heart attacks throughout his life. And yes, he received his he received a heart transplant.
Wow, that's what I thought I heard.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Now I've got a question that I'm sure a lot of folks are wondering about.
Sure.
And that is,